it to the list. This is a show where we pluck a name out of an all-time movie watch list, watch it in review for your viewing pleasure. The movie we're scratching off the list today is the 1995 video game classic. 3 unknown martial artists are summoned to a mysterious island to compete in a tournament whose outcome will decide the fate of the world. I know. Okay? Stop. Shut up. Don't type it yet. I know. A lot of people say this movie sucks. A lot of people say que it's the worst shit ever. I know. Shut up. This movie has a very special place in the little black hole where my heart should be because it's my earliest memories of ever going to the theater. My pops took just me alone to go see this movie. Now, yes, it was rated PG-13. Should I be watching it when I was 4 years old? Probably not. But in my dad's defense, we were playing the hell out of the Sega game at home, which I don't know if it was a great decision either, but I turned out okay. And I remember that day vividly. I remember going to the theater. I remember enjoying it. I felt like a big boy because I was 4 years old watching a PG-13 movie. For that reason alone, I know this movie's not a flawless victory. I know there's tons of flaws packed in this movie, but I love it. And a lot of gamers love it, but at the same time, it's like a love-hate relationship with this movie for some reason.
Well, I kind of get it. I do share the point of view that I really like this movie. It goes on quick, even though it's an hour 40.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that most of the movie is just fighting. Literally just fighting.
The video game was actually supposed to be just a Van Damme video game.
Oh.
But that idea fell through, and they just decided to implement even more crazier and crazier characters, and they even based Johnny Cage heavily on Van Damme. That's why for the MK1, Van Damme is a skin of Johnny's. He has the same moveset because he was heavily based on him. Also, upon release of the game, it was shown a lot of criticism that it was too violent for kids, yet it kept selling, it kept succeeding. I think it started off as an arcade first, and then it was later port to the consoles. But this game is actually the one responsible for what we know now as the ESRB rating. It's the system that helps parents make decisions, letting them know if the game is for children or not. Similar to movies, Mortal Kombat is the one responsible to bringing that system to the games.
Wasn't that shared with Night Trap? You're supposed to be like a dude. You're looking at the security footage from live security footage from a house where some teenagers party, but they get attacked by vampires who suck your blood using vacuum cleaners. The Mortal Kombat shares the ESRB rating, the creation, with Night Trap.
But speaking of Jean-Claude Van Damme, bringing it back to the movie, he was actually offered the role of Johnny Cage, but he turned it down to go do Street Fighter. I don't like Van Damme, all right? So if I'm going to bet money on why he declined on this, is because his role is smaller in Mortal Kombat than it is in Street Fighter. Because here, he's just a part of an ensemble. And in Street Fighter, he's like the guy. That's what I feel that's why I think he declined it.
It does track with the type of dude he was at the time.
It's his ego by this time. At the 90s, it was all-time high. It was past his prime already, movies-wise, Bloodsport and all the other ones. Whatever. I don't like Van Damme. Also considered for the part, these are interesting, Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp for
What?
Johnny Cage. Yes.
Oy.
Bridget Wilson auditioned for Sonya, but because the casting took so long, she decided to go play Miss Vaughn in Billy Madison. Distractingly beautiful. But
Yes, she is.
because she went to go do Billy Madison, the part went instead to a young up-and-coming Cameron Diaz.
What?
Yeah, Cameron Diaz actually got casted first, but during training, she actually broke her wrist, so she wasn't able to do it.
Oh,
So because of the injury and how much time had passed, Wilson finished all her scenes with Billy Madison, so she was able to come back and got hired to play Sonya. She also did her own stunts, which I think you can kind of totally tell. Her fighting isn't the strongest.
Is it fighting?
Sure, her choreography. But I'm not going to deny her toughness. She dislocated her shoulder. Crew actually had to help her pop it back in place. She's so pretty. She's so distractingly beautiful. But you can tell that her fighting is not up to par to the rest. I'm just going to say that. For Raiden, Sean Connery was approached.
Oh my. Got no.
But he didn't want to do it, so the part ultimately went to his Highlander counterpart, Christopher Lambert. It would have been funny. Liu Kang, you are the chosen one.
There was a part in the movie that caught me so off guard. I really laughed out loud where they were on the boat and Lambert was talking all serious like,
the fate of billions will depend upon you. Sorry.
and then he just lets out a laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Sorry. I'm like, what the happened?
I like the cast that they ultimately went with, but if I were to change one person, for me personally, it would be Raiden. I wasn't digging the voice he was doing.
You have been chosen to defend the realm of Earth in a tournament called Mortal Kombat.
With that voice, you have the perfect two ends of the spectrum, right? You have Lambert doing too much and becoming cheesy. And the opposite of that, what you actually wanted to get with that voice, is cary-hiroyuki Tagawa, aka Shang Tsung.
Your soul is mine.
He's doing extra with his voice, right? He's being super evil and but he does not come off cheesy for a second. He's like evil, menacing. He's fantastic. He's by far my MVP.
Yeah, Shang Tsung would be the first, and Kano a close second because he did so many things. And even being this evil person, he was so articulate with his voice and with his face.
Yeah.
Even just his poses were imposing, and he is not a big dude if I remember correctly. Kano was a beast, and I think he's the one that resembles his character from the games the most, just because of the faceplate.
Well, the faceplate was amazing, but actually you're technically wrong on that because
Why?
Trevor Goddard, who played Kano, added the Australian accent. He's not Australian. He's from England, and Kano is actually an Asian American in the game.
What?
Yeah, but Ed Boon and John Tobias loved his performance so much that from this point on, Kano became forever an Aussie.
I did not know that Kano was not Aussie. For me, this was Kano.
Sticking with the casting choices, Steve James was casted first as Jax, but passed away shortly before filming, so the part of Jax went to Gregory McKinney. Brandon Lee was actually their first choice for Liu Kang, since the character is heavily inspired by his papa. But unfortunately, he passed away during the filming of The Crow, which led to Robin Shao getting the part of Liu Kang, which a lot of racist ass motherfuckers think is Jackie Chan. It's not. It's Robin Shao. He did a tremendous job. He might be number 2 for me, maybe 3, because yeah, you make a great point with Kano, because he looks the part and his body is just stupid.
Oh my god, he's so ripped.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what? I'm changing my MVP. My MVP is gonna be his hair.
Oh, his hair is so glorious.
Holy
It's like never in the way either. It's like like the hairs know what to do. It's perfect. This was also fun. Steven Spielberg was supposed to cameo as Johnny Cage's cameraman, but due to scheduling, he couldn't do it. So they actually casted a guy that looks just like Steven Spielberg. I thought, hey, that guy looks like Steven Spielberg. I bet you is a shot.
I did a double take too for that because
Well, Spielberg is a massive Mortal Kombat fan, so he really wanted to be in the movie, but he couldn't.
Oh, I did not know that. That's actually pretty cool.
Honestly, I'm realizing now, psychoanalyzing myself, I think she influenced my taste in women, because yeah, damn. Shout outs to Talisa Soto, who, by the way, looks exactly the same today. I don't know what she do. I don't know what her problem is, but shout outs to that lady. Wait, she did some sort of ritual or something. Damn.
Oh, damn.
It starts with the scream. The second you hit play, they scream at you and the theme starts. Man, if you don't get hype with this song, you don't have a soul. I don't know how to explain it.
That's one of the most perfect and beautiful workout sounds I've ever heard in my life.
You can't mention a better 90s theme. Mortal Kombat techno music. Excuse me, what, sir? Wow, this song went platinum.
Platinum.
Yes, it just gets me hyped. That guttural scream at the beginning, it's amazing. Then it opens with a literal fire. It's fire. The opening of it is fire. I will say a huge negative is the CGI.
Well, CGI was complete utter until the 2000s. There were some cool stuff here and there. For example, Jurassic Park and all those movies.
Oh yeah.
On the main usage, it was horrendous.
Reptile. That was really bad. But I mean, when Shang Tsung is transforming from Johnny's manager to himself, that doesn't look half as bad. Like, I believe that.
When he's taking the souls out of the people's bodies, that's not a half bad either. That's pretty good. And also, Sub-Zero's attacks were pretty cool also.
Yeah. Even Scorpion's spear, like, it was supposed to be a spear and they made it more complicated on themselves. That doesn't hold up. But I remember going back in the day, holy crap, there's a, I don't even know what that is. Like a spear, I don't even know.
It's like a snake.
As much as the CGI was kind of ass, the sets were pretty cool. They also tried to implement some recognizable levels from the game as well.
That shot where Johnny Cage is posing on the forest, and you got like this exact middle section and you see the forest opening. I think that was one of the best shots in the movie.
It's super iconic. Yeah, you recognize it immediately.
Yeah, and that's the shot that was seared in my brain.
I think that's supposed to be like the forest with all the faces. Of course, they're not going to do that, but that's like the next best thing you could do. And how he's like running and that thing is chasing them. That whole scene is great.
Yeah.
Within the first 30 minutes is where we get our first fight. And I love that most of the fights are one-on-one, similar to the game.
The fight scenes were actually pretty cool in the fact that they were wide. You could see what was happening.
What did annoy me is that every time they said flawless victory, it wasn't necessarily a flawless victory.
No.
The only one that actually is a flawless victory was Sub-Zero versus the NPC guy, because he doesn't get touched.
Flawless victory.
But yeah, sometimes you have all three of them fighting like a gang of dudes as well, which is not typical for the series, but I still like that they gave, Scorpion versus Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero versus Liu Kang. You know, they gave each pairing a one-on-one. In that fight with the three versus the computers, Liu Kang does a cool run up the wall and turns around and kicks a guy in the face, right? But his next move is so unnecessary. He hops over a ledge really cool to nothing, to no one. He's just by himself. Like, but with that damn music, everything looks so cool. We got Sonya versus Kano, and this is actually Sonya's only 1v1. She was actually supposed to fight Jade also, but that part was cut out, and Jade as a character was cut out as well. So they showed a pre-screening, and their big takeaway from the pre-screening is that they wanted more fights. So they actually extended 2 fights. So when Johnny Cage and Scorpion go to hell, that whole section was extended after they finished the movie. Oh. And also Liu Kang versus Reptile's fight was also extended. He wasn't supposed to fight him when he was all green. He actually, when he turns green, you get Shao Kahn's voice from the game saying Reptile. Johnny Cage slicing up Scorpion's skeleton with the lava and all that looked pretty cool.
The whole part, I was like, oh shit, that feels like a frame from the game. Because it was very wide. You see the two of them when he spits fire.
Well, it's a fatality, but he missed. Because Johnny Cage got a shield, and then it was on fire, and then he threw it at him. So it was a little goofy. After that, we start getting a bunch of fights in a row, and this is where I feel like continuity got messed up. Like, after it does get a little slow, but there's no explanation. They just start fighting fighting each other randomly. Like, who's keeping score? How does the tournament actually work? That part to me does get kind of confusing, because in the games you beat one and you move on to the next one, but it's just like you're walking down the monastery or this giant ass temple and you come across a motherfucker like this Pokemon and you start fighting, and does that count for the tournament? That part was a little iffy to me.
Those random fights, I feel like they were just put in because, like you said, they wanted more fights.
Now we get Goro, and I feel like he should have done something more vicious, like split that guy in half or something, instead of he just holding them and kind of just clubs them in the head. But that was actually done on purpose, because the original movie script was actually way more gory and even had curse words due to the deal that they had with New Line Cinema. They had the deal that they had to make the movie PG-13. So some of the gore and the profanity was taken out to try to sell more tickets to the younger audience.
Yeah, that part where he was clobbering the dude, I don't know why I expected him to rip his arms off.
Something how he looks while falling is actually also a little foul, I'm going to say. But I think that the animatronic kind of holds up today, because he's practical. He's blinking, he's moving.
You feel like everything is congruent with what's happening. in the scene. So if he moves something, his face, his body reacts all in tandem. So I do believe, and I sometimes forget that is a machine. I think it's a dude in a suit.
It cost $1 million.
Jesus.
It took 16 people to operate. There is a guy underneath, and there's another guy operating the top half part. But it was a nightmare because Goro kept breaking down, and it was causing major delays, and he was pissing people off on set because he would break down.
Let's dance.
I did love the bicycle kick. I love that they implemented the moves of each character during their fights.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew this in the back of my mind, but I forgot that actually Reptile is the first ever secret unlockable character of any fighting game ever. Then we get Shang Tsung versus Liu Kang at the very end. He finishes him off with a 30-hit combo, which I thought was pretty cool.
30?
I didn't count him. I was going to count him, but he hits him a lot and then does his fireball right on his chest and flies off.
It is implied.
Then they kind of ruined it, showing the Emperor at the very end. He was horrid. I don't know what he had on his face. He looked like ass and nothing like he ends up actually looking in the sequel.
That was terrible.
But you also got to think, at this point where we're at with video game movies, there had only been 3 out, 2 flopped horrifically, and 1 wasn't particularly received well by fans and critics. You got Mario Brothers movie, you got the Double Dragon movie, those 2 flopped in the theaters. Then you have the Street Fighter movie that wasn't received right. So then this came out, so there was a lot of hesitancy to even make this movie to begin with.
I forgot about the Double Dragon one. It just came back.
This story borrows from the first 2 games, and I think that's why it feels really faithful, because each character feels like the character from the game.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think as far as character creation and development, it is pretty faithful to their game counterparts.
And this made over $121 million on an $18 million budget.
Oh my God.
I think it's directed well. I think it's edited fine. I don't understand why it's considered bad. Like, you look up scores and it's like less than 5 sometimes. And it's like, yeah, compared to today, it could be cheesy. I know I'm biased. I explained it in the beginning. But I don't think it's a bad film by any means. If you want to see a bad film, go watch the sequel. But I think this is still fun all these years later.
No, and even comparing it to the contemporary movies, video game movies, and I have no fear of stating that this was the best one.
It was faithful to the source material. It didn't disrespect the characters. It showed what people wanted at the time. I thought I did a great job. Tell us which side of the stage you are. Are you on to hate it, to love it? I know a lot of nerds love it. What I don't love is the Street Fighter movie, which I've done for a list as well. I'll leave that for you right over here. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to always and forever, you do you.
Bye.